So I want to talk a little bit apologeticism of seeing how something adds up in terms of the Islamic scriptures and the Bible, or Christianity as is the newer version of it in a sense. Um, I'm gonna cover three main cases. First, I'm gonna cover the whole satanic verses thing, and the second one is about um, it's about the whole thing about Muhammad getting his aorta cut, because I think that's a little bit relevant. And then there is the whole um, dominating or domination culture of Islamic text of psychology, and I'm gonna try to see how that adds up. First up, it is the whole satanic verses. In Sahih Bukhari, that incident is kind of recorded because it's mentioned about humans, jinns, and pagans all prostrating. It doesn't mention the whole Satan putting the words in Muhammad's mouth, but it does mention the incident without that part at least. So that's at least based on a true incident, at least in terms of the early part of Islam, at least. So I do find that interesting. I'm not going to try to argue whether satanic verse is correct or not, or based on something true. I'm just going to mention that as something interesting fact. It's all. I'm going to link it in the description below if you want to look that part of. And then I'm going to cover the whole aorta, which is accurate, though that one is authentic. So you can find that one in several hadith sources of at least the incident, at least, and then there is this part in the Quran. Um, in the Quran, it says, "If Muhammad is a liar, then God will cut his aorta." And the thing is, and the thing is, in the hadith, it says that a Jewish woman poisoned his food, and yeah, that had some health ramification on him later on. And then on his deathbed, I think he said something along the line of that he could feel his aorta being cut from the poison. Now, Muslims can say that in terms of counter argument, is that, well, God was supposed to do that. It happened from a person, but you also have to ignore the fact that God in Islamic traditions sends people to do His bidding. So this could totally be possible. So yeah, that's what I find interesting. It's kind of weird how that is written there, because that kind of does undermine the religion in a sense. So the basic argument of Satan being the influence of Islamic scriptures is kind of interesting, but that's what I want to cover a little bit on. And now the final thing. Muslims often on the internet argue with dominance, and there's a reason for that, because the texts, Islamic texts, is written with dominance mentality. So, for example, if you were to say, "Well, I think it's wrong, I think it's false," then Muslim can say, "Oh, how dare you! You are like this. Your book has been corrupted, and God is only one to worship." So we see, it's written with a very dominant language of the culture. Um, and I can try to think of something like, for example, believers, they are the best, and there's something about the disbelievers being uh, heedless, or they are worse than heedless. They are like animals, or no, so sorry, I meant disbelievers are like animals. No, because animals have actual purpose. They are worse than animals. This is just one example. You can find tons of other examples of this. If you don't think like this, then you have to be this or this. It's a very dominant written text in Islamic traditions. So that's what I want to argue about, is that Christianity, if you Now, I guess I can talk a little bit about Christianity because I guess it has more of a dictator mentality in the Old Testament. Of God feeling a little bit like a dictator on the rules and such. And the New Testament is more about forgiveness and repentance. In terms of the culture, created more about that. So it kind of follows a little bit of a mixture of both, so it's kind of interesting. But yeah, I just want to compare it a little bit. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I mean, Muslims do think that Christians are polytheistic, so that's kind of interesting to but it's interesting how this adds up. But I do think there's more flaws with Islam in some cases of how it kind of I don't think it sells well. I do think it's worked more on threats and at least I mean that's the whole point. I mean even the text itself says that it's about warning and you know so threats is kind of ideal about religion, but yeah it's kind of interesting to see how the argument adds up to whether it is legit or whether it is less likely to be the right one. So you can judge for yourself. I mean, if you, the more you read Islamic text, the more it's the idea of just dominating the reader, and that's basically what the texts are about in a sense. But yeah, let me know what you think about it. Thank you for listening, and bye.